I've been involved with the voting process from the very beginning with Coffee County. We have a very good relationship in our board, Democrats and Republicans. We all want a fair election. I began during this cycle working in the June primary, and from the get-go, we had nothing but problems. The scanners were messed up completely as we were scanning, constantly having to be cleaned. They wouldn't scan. Finally, halfway through, even just trying to scan one at a time, we had all kinds of problems. We sent a city cop to a county a couple hours away to go get an emergency scanner in the middle of the night, lights blaring, brought it back and finished the next day with a borrowed scanner. In the meantime, during the time getting ready for the November election, I was in a couple of Zoom calls with the Secretary of State, and I reminded them of that we had had problems with our scanners. He remembered the problem, and he assured me that we would get a new scanner for our county. Gave it over to Mr. Gabriel Sterling. I was given, promises that we'd get a scanner. During the time frame, we never got a new scanner. So then we get into the November election. We had the election, had the scanning, all of that with the same old scanner that we had to be done in certain batches. But in the meantime, in between the June and the November primary, it was discovered that we could manipulate the ballot. And our supervisor of elections realized that accidentally she clicked and could change a ballot. And I believe that is shown on a YouTube video that you have queued up right now.
Okay, would you like to show that to us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before you start, your microphone was not on when you told us who you were, and there are people that are listening by live stream. Could you just state that again for us, please?
My name is Kathy Latham.
Okay.
I am the under 80,000 caucus chair for the Georgia GOP. I'm over the 129 rural counties of Georgia. I'm also the chair of the Republican Party for Coffee County.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I want to adjudicate it right here. This is one that I did right before y'all got here. So we're going to go and say we're going to complete this one just like it is. But if you look, here is a vote that is double voted. It's overvoted. I don't know if when I hit complete, is it going to accept a vote for both candidates? Or is it, since there's a red box around it, is it going to reject it altogether? I don't know. So I'm going to say it's complete. I could also say hide the box. The box went away. There's a check mark. Did it accept the check mark? I don't know. But I'm going to say nothing needs to be changed. Okay?
Does it tell you what it does after you
No, sir.
hit complete?
No, sir. I'm going to say, I want to take it. No, wait just a minute. I want to go and I think I want to vote for Jason Shaw. They didn't vote that ballot a while ago. There wasn't nothing there. I think we need to vote for him. And I'm going to complete it. Confirm ballot save, move to next ballot. Okay. So it pulls up the next ballot that needs to be adjudicated.
So you made a vote for someone where someone did not vote.
I did, didn't I?
And you're the election supervisor?
I'm the election supervisor. I am the person that sits and does the adjudication. Yes, sir?
Go back to the Trump and Biden race and decide, since both are marked, you just count one of them and not count the other one? Can you decide?
Let's see. Yep, sure can. I think I want to vote for Biden. Let's let Biden win this one.
So what you put supersedes whatever.
So you...
But I decided this Al, he don't deserve no votes. Let's not let nobody vote for that. And complete. Okay. Well, here's another one.
That's what we got from our discussion the other day.
I don't think any votes need to vote on this ballot.
Oh, wow.
I think this really needs to be just a blank ballot. Complete.
All right, board, I want y'all to step outside with me. Y'all step out. Shut that door.
Was that it, or is there a little more?
You might be able to, on the video, if you kind of move back a little bit, you can see that they step back so you can see from the small room. In most of your small counties, this adjudication process is happening in a small room. So you can't put people in there to watch, so they have to stand in an observation. So when you're just watching a computer operator doing this, you don't know what they're doing. And so that was the purpose of the rest of the videos, to show
could you
that.
explain what you mean by an adjudication so that people can understand
Sure.
what we're talking about?
A lot of times ballots have to go through a process where maybe there's an undervote, which means nobody was voted for in a certain category, like maybe nobody voted for president. Or they voted for twice, and which happened in many of the races, especially in that long primary where there were 21 candidates. You'd be surprised how many people voted for 2 and 3 people.
And would that be on the absentee ballot where they're being hand marked?
Yes, sir. And other problems with scanned ballots, too. Anything from the ballot marking machine or from the day of voting, that some of those have to be adjudicated because there may be a stray mark on the ballot and it will pull it up as an image, and you can go in and look at it and manipulate that image.
And so what happens if there's a double vote or there's no vote? Walk through that process.
You should, in a county where everything works right, as in Coffee County, you have a Republican, a Democrat, and a neutral person. And usually your neutral person is a board member, and both people look at the ballot and determine voter intent. Now, on the absentee ballot, very easy to see voter intent because those people actually marked the ballot. You can see what they marked. You can see if they crossed something out. The other ballot, which is the scan ballot with a QR code, it's impossible to see voter intent because you're reading a QR code, and I do not have the ability to know what's inside a QR code. And I don't know of anybody who knows what's inside a QR code. Basically, when you vote on a ballot machine and it spits out that paper ballot, it's sort of like autocorrect. Do any of you like your autocorrect on your phone? You know you're texting something to somebody and you send it, and in the process that you send that text, it autocorrected to another word? How do we know that that's not happening in those ballot marking machines? You can't tell what the voter intended. And if you read your ballot on November, I had to put my glasses on, and I have bifocal contacts to read those small words. I don't know how many people actually check their ballot to see what they said and what was on the screen. Is that what printed? So it's hard to determine voter intent on those. But on an absentee ballot or any kind of paper ballot, very easy to determine voter intent. And there was never any problem what a Republican or a Democrat saw.
Okay.
So, and you know, if somebody might have made an X on one, you could tell that they didn't want that one, they wanted the other one. So then you could change it.
Okay, thank you. Senator Tillery?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your testimony. I just have one question. Were you a part of the Henry County, Coffee County?
I was part of the entire process.
I was on the voter review panel, so I understand part of this. So, thank you for helping the others understand it. What was the hand recount?
Or did it match the machine count in Coffee, or do you know?
It was off by, I don't have the exact numbers. I have the printout here, and I can look at it, and I can tell you what that was for Coffee County. Do you want me to look at that? I have it printed.
We can talk about it later on. I was
Okay.
just wondering because
There was some variance. The big difference came in the recertification when we had to do the recount.
we had
So-
heard something about that, and that's kind of what I thought you might be talking more about. And I don't understand
yes.
where the numbers were different, and if the chairman would indulge on the time. We've heard
Yes.
about that, but I'm not sure that I understand it, and I was just wondering if you
The
could
problem
briefly
was is
explain
they
it.
could never reduplicate what happened on election night, and every time they ran the numbers, they got a different number.
Through the scanner?
Yes, sir.
How
So-
many times did that happen?
5 times. They ran 15,000 ballots 5 times.
And you received 5 different numbers each?
They sure did.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask another
Yeah.
question. I'm upset, and I know Georgians will be upset if it's one-off, so I'm not trying
Yes.
to diminish that at all. Do you know what the range was?
Anywhere from, at one point, I'm trying to remember, I know that at one point Jorgensen had 100 extra votes. The variance was somewhere around 50 going back and forth. But the problem was they could never duplicate it. They couldn't get the same count twice in a row.
Right.
And you should be able to, at least but within one vote.
And none of those machine counts match the actual hand count later on, or do you know?
No. Or nor election night results.
Okay. Senator Heath?
Mr. Latham, do you know if, when you adjudicate a ballot, does the Dominion system keep a record of that there was a ballot that had this, this is what it looked like before adjudication, and this is what it looked like after adjudication?
I will say I'm not a computer expert, and do I know the Dominion system inside and out? No. However, I've been told there's no record. Our supervisor said she can see no record that she adjudicated X amount of ballots. And I do know that when we did the recount, we came up with one that was odd, and I went, oh, I remember we had to adjudicate. I just happened to remember that one because they wrote Jesus Christ down and misspelled Christ. So I happened to remember that one. And, that was one that came up that was different. But she said she can see no record on her end if there is any record of adjudication.
So far as you know, you can't audit that process. You can't go back and review.
Not
that
from the
process.
county end. Can we see that at all?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for making the long trip up here. We
Sure.
appreciate your time. Yeah,
Let me ask a question.
yes.
Preston Halliburton, attorney of counsel.
Giuliani legal team, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Kathy, as your attorney in the matter, obviously, we're asserting whistleblower status. There's been issues with other witnesses having been retaliated against after their testimony. So we're taking precautions to protect her in that matter, and I thank the committee for considering that. Ms. Latham, was that 15,000 you talked about, was that ever actually certified?
We were never able to certify those results.
So as we're sitting on election day, those 15,000 votes may or may not have counted, but after election day in the recount, do you have any way of knowing, as we see here today, if those actually counted in Trump's total or Joe Biden?
Nobody's ever shown me that, and I've asked the question, and I got a shoulder shrug. I know that Coffee County certified election night, but we were never able to certify from the recount.
And could you explain to the committee the ratio that you saw of the Trump ballots that, in your opinion, were not going through, whether that be accidental or intentional? Can you explain that process?
Okay, during the recount, I was standing there. There was me, various volunteers throughout the day. As ballots were being scanned, votes would jam up the system. And there's a system where it does 4 ballots, and it tells you which ballot to pull and then rescan. As the day went on, the supervisor would pull those 1 ballots that were jamming and stacking them up. At the end of the day, she made the determination to run those entire ballots. They were the QR codes, not the absentee ballots. They were the ones with the QR codes.
And is there any other counties that this happened in where they were concerned about certifying but felt compelled or forced to?
Yes, I was told by many counties that they called, questioned the Secretary of State, and they were told to certify.
Can you tell this committee how many counties that might be?
I talked to personally 8 counties, and out of that, 6 said they were forced to certify.
Can you explain what you mean by forced to certify?
One county was 106 votes off, and the Secretary of State's office told them they must certify that number. Another county, which was a small county, was 2.3% off. They were told they had to recertify. Another county was off. They questioned it. The Secretary of State said, upload your stuff, let us look at it. They called them back and said, oh, we found a missing batch. And then they magically matched. That's what I was told. I have copies of the emails later on, whatever you need. And those people were willing to do an affidavit.
Can you tell us what steps the Secretary of State took when they came down to Coffee County?
When they came to Coffee County, they came down on a Friday. They told them that Thursday, I believe, it may have been late Wednesday that they were coming. 3 people from the Secretary of State showed up with guns and badges and handcuffs, and 2 Dominion Tech reps. They came with the intent of intimidation. Luckily, the county attorney stayed with the supervisor so that she wasn't by herself. And basically, he said, you want to recount? We'll do a recount. There were no Democrats, no Republicans there to watch this recount. And the attorney called to an area private school, got a group of sophomores. They sat there and divided the ballots into 100-count batches, and they proceeded to scan them, and they wouldn't scan. The Dominion Tech ran into the problems that Coffee County ran into. The Dominion Tech sat on the floor for 2 hours with a manual trying to figure out why they couldn't get the machines to do what they needed to do.
And Kathy, was the Secretary of State responsive or helpful during this process?
No, sir. In fact, I even personally texted him at times when we needed help. He would say he was on it, and we never got a response. I had emails sent to Mr. Sterling. He would say, I'm on it, and we would get no response.
I think that's conclusive testimony. Yeah.
All right, did Senator Jones, we'll need.
Real quick, thank you for being here today. Was Coffee County, a lot of the counties that I represent had IT or techs that were contracted through Dominion to serve.
Senator Jones, might need to speak directly into the mic because they can't hear online if we
to
don't.
serve the local counties. Did Coffee County have a technician on site, a
Yes,
Dominion
sir.
technician on site?
He had many problems. He didn't know that he was supposed to clean the machine after X amount of scans. He had never been told.
So when y'all were doing what we just watched on video, was the technician around to try to
No, not during
assist or
that.
anything?
Not during that point, no.
But you saw, I'm sure you pointed out that issue to him or her at some point in time.
Yes. In fact, the Secretary of State was sent a letter telling them about what they could do with the ballot.
And those technicians were provided by the Secretary of State's
From what I
office?
understand, yes, they are hired.
They were hired.
They're Dominion
they're
techs. yes.
Contractors through
Contractors.
Dominion and paid by way of the Secretary of State's office.
I'd love to know how they're being paid. That's a lot of people, tech per county, and in some counties, a lot of techs. So that's a lot of people.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.